Mil magad de Cancórla agus a híisi faríor géir tá orm díú is dear chahar na Galway ríis agus an aspa infrastruchtúr atá ag churbach láidir tuile ferbertha. Agus de bhór na styrma tá spot solas an aspa infrastruchtúr agus tá sé seo ordaí go minic agus faríor tá orm ordu a ríis. Tánaiste, I'm raising the lack of infrastructure in Galway that is a serious block to development. A city that's one of 5 cities identified in the national plan to grow. One of the 5 cities destined to grow and go to a population of 120,000 by 2040. And that is not possible. And let me start just by saying that the results of the storm in Galway city and county, particularly the county, was one of the worst hit. And as I stand here today 2,750 homes, businesses and farms are still without power in Galway. You've described it as an unprecedented storm. It was. But we were well warned about it, and something I raised this morning. But I'm using my time now to look at how that's put the focus on the difficulties we have in Galway for further development. And we were at a presentation last week, and your ministers were there at it, and there were 11 projects highlighted. But top of the list, not with the way it was laid out, but verbally, was Galway City flood defences and the urgent need for them to be progressed. They started years ago, the plan for it, 9 million, it went to 50 million. Your colleague beside you is very familiar with it, the Minister, in relation to it. We were told in no uncertain terms, unless that project goes ahead, there can't be development in Galway. On top of that, we have an inadequate wastewater treatment structure as we have it. The collection network has been described as inadequate. A recent engineering report commissioned by the Ceist Catherine said one of the siphons under the Corrup was in the Corrup estuary was in imminent danger of collapse. So we have an inadequate collection network. We have failure to build a wastewater treatment plant on the east side of the city. We have no wastewater treatment plant in Carrow. And then in Clifton, we have a treatment plant that's not up to the capacity in the summertime. So the reason I'm mentioning all of this, Minister Tánaiste, is you're aware of it and I'm aware of it, and unfortunately there's been no progress. The City Council in Galway and the county tell us they're 2 of the worst funded local authorities in the country, and these are major projects. So we have a national development plan and a framework telling us that Galway is going to grow. What I'm highlighting today for you is there are sustainable solutions to this, and actually it breaks my heart to watch what's happening in Galway in terms of traffic congestion and bad planning.
Deputy.
I'll get a chance to come back in. Thank you.
Tánaiste, please.
Well, look, I want to thank Deputy Connolly for raising the issue of infrastructure. I do want to get straight to that, but I do just want to acknowledge the huge impact that the storm has had on people right across the country, and most particularly people in the west and the northwest. And I'm very conscious of the fact that we can read out figures showing how many people have been reconnected to power, and very good progress has been made. But that is obviously co-comfort to the 12,000 people, 12,000 premises, Ciancórla, that remain without power today. And as you rightly say, Deputy, 2,750 of them in your own city and county of Galway. I want to obviously thank the over 3,000 ESB workers working on the front line in very difficult conditions, repairing power. And indeed, I want to thank our European and British colleagues who joined in that assistance. It's very clear. That phrase, lessons learned, is a bit of a hackneyed phrase in politics. Never has it been more true, though, I think, in terms of the preparedness that we need to carry out now for adverse weather events. It's absolutely clear that we're seeing a very significant change in the climate, that we're seeing a very significant increase in severe weather events, and that resilience and preparedness that we need to build up nationally and locally is so important. But your question today specifically follows on from that, because adverse weather events, I suppose, highlight the vulnerabilities that we can experience in certain parts of the country, indeed in all parts of the country, in relation to infrastructure as well. I'm pleased that that meeting took place with the city, with the city and council, and I know my colleague Minister Naughton was there as well, as you say. And we stand ready as a government at the start of this new mandate, and Mr. Tánaiste was there too, to work with Galway City Council, Galway County Council, in relation to those infrastructure projects and indeed the list that they've provided you with. I understand when it comes to things like the flood defence scheme, Corrup Custis scheme, that is the funding is in place. But I think the frustration that often drives people crazy in this country is the length of time it gets from an announcement of a scheme or a planned scheme to the delivery on the ground. And that's why, as we negotiated our new programme for government, we have placed a very strong emphasis on infrastructural delivery. We're going to see a very significant uplift, Deputy, in capital spending. That's objectively true. I think it'll get up to 95 billion by the end of this government's term. But actually, I think key for our citizens is going to be, well, did you get the value for money and did you deliver the projects in an efficient and timely manner? And I know that will apply to Galway as well. That's why we have plans to expand the role of the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform with a particular focus on infrastructure delivery and a new division established within that department to drive that forward as well. So I'm very happy to work constructively with you and with Galway TDs in terms of those infrastructural projects, be it the wastewater treatment plant, be it the flood defence scheme as well. I would also point out, and you'd expect me to, that Galway has obviously seen a significant amount of investment over the last number of years, whether that's in relation to the train station, whether it's in relation to URDF funding, whether it's in relation to the new facility at your hospital as well, and plans for further developments, and our commitment to try and get this ring road project moving too. But I accept there's a lot more we need to do.
Deputy Connolly.
Thank you, Tánaiste. This is a city that's struggling. It's thriving. It's a beautiful city. It's cahar gáithang, okay? Agus tá lán fustaíochta an. Ach tá bacana an we've infrastructure. Agus níu ná inné atá na faibanna sin aganya. So we are struggling for quite some time. I'm reassured that you're telling me, maybe foolishly and innocently, that there'll be an emphasis on capital infrastructure, because I've heard that. But what I'm trying to highlight here today is openly the City Council are telling us if the flood defences don't go ahead in a timely manner and fund it, other development is off the table. I myself have a particular view in relation to Galway that it should be chosen as a pilot city for sustainable development, roll out an integrated public transport, put in a light rail system. The feasibility study has confirmed it's possible, build public housing on public land and so on. Have my own personal opinions, which I'm not shy in sharing. However, the serious lack of infrastructure I'm highlighting here today as a major obstacle.
Thank you, Deputy Tánaiste.
No, and I hear you, Deputy, and I hear the advocacy that you make on behalf of your county and your region, and for good reason. I mean, we will have a review of the National Development Plan, of our capital plans. We intend to publish that as a government during the summer period, and this will be an opportunity to map out what the increased level of capital funding will mean for the lifetime of this government, and provide that pipeline in terms of capital funding. And it will absolutely allow us not just to deliver on the capital commitments that have already been made in relation to many, many projects across our country, including in Galway, but it will also allow us add new ones. But I want to re-emphasise a point that I genuinely feel very, very strongly about, and I think it's an honest point to make, which is it can't just be about the level of funding, though that's important and we'll be increasing it. Take that bit as read. We're also going to have to look at how we can make sure processes in terms of approval are efficient. I think the word simplification needs to be put up in lights here. We need to be able to work in partnership with local authorities, with state agencies. And I don't level this at Galway County Council or City Council, by the way, but no book passing, no that's for another agency. Come together and deliver these projects. I don't believe funding will be the challenge.